You've enjoyed so much literary success over the years, including fans will be interested to know the SUMO, a thinking fan's guide to Japan's national sport. That's so incredibly interesting. It was actually published by Tuttle in 1990. And then, of course, The Life and Times of the Last Kid Picked, which was originally published by Random House. And now, of course, it's under your imprint. So, David, if you could give one piece of advice to young writers, because obviously you're a tremendous success story, um, or the last kid picked out there who's listening, what would that advice be?
The advice that the advice that most when I was in high school, there was no such thing as a creative writing course. We had English, all right,
Yeah.
but there are now creative writing teachers in many high schools whose advice to their students is write about yourself because it's what you know. And I modify that, and I say write about yourself, but don't write about your space self. Don't turn your writing into a confession or a lament. I tell kids there isn't just one of you; there are dozens of you in there, and the best character you have is just one of those little pieces of you. Take a piece of you, turn it into a character that perhaps you wouldn't even recognize, and people would not recognize as you, and make that piece of you into a character.
That's great advice. Your work, David, is so extensive that this might be an impossible question to answer, but what piece, there are so many, what piece, what novel, what story are you most proud of, and which one reflects David Benjamin the most?
Um, I, the, in another of my collections, which is called The Melting Grandmother and Other Short Works, there is a short story that I derived from my in-laws, my wife's parents, who her mother was a survivor of Hiroshima, of the atom bomb, and she
Wow.
and her husband her Joko's father was a member of the organization of Hibakusha, who were survivors of the bombing of Hiroshima, and they wrote it, and they compiled a 2-volume books about interviews about their experience, something like the Shoah Project for the survivors of the Holocaust. And I read both volumes of the book in English. It was translated, and I wrote a short story called "A Walk Through Hell," which was how Joko's mother described herself walking back into Tokyo from the Mazda factory where she had been,
Yeah.
where she was working as a teenager. And that story about a soldier who walks into Hiroshima after the bomb has probably affected more readers who've read it than anything else, and because so little is remembered and recorded about that event in history, although it was such a overwhelmingly important event, I guess I'm pleased with that one short story as much as anything I've written.
That sounds powerful. I look forward to reading that. Um, David,
I'll
which
bring you a
story
copy of the book.
yes, please do, because I would really
Yes.
like to back in my newspaper days, I did actually write an article about Hiroshima, and the survivors of, so I would love to read that. That would really be wonderful.
Yeah.
But which piece have you written that really reflects, that says this is David Benjamin?
Oh,
Is it Last Kid Standing? Is it Last Kid Picks rather?
I guess if you were looking for a book that was mostly just that gives you, I guess the important thing about me in my writing is my sense of humor. Um,
Yeah.
uh, you know as well as I do that the old saying is dying is easy, comedy is hard. And I've always written humorously, even when I'm deadly serious. I try to I infuse that with a sense of humor, and I guess the ability to laugh at yourself, which is what I convey in the life and times of the last kid picked, is probably the best thing I can say about myself. I know I'm funny. I know, and not funny to other people, but well, funny to other people, and sometimes funny to myself.
Well, that's important, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And I think you're very funny, David. I think your writing is absolutely hysterical. So I know you're working on something now. You're always writing, as you said, always writing essays. What's going on now? What's next for you as a writer?
Oh well, I have to get rid of this presentation ready for book camp next year, and I'm nervous about that.
Oh, we were
But
excited to have you. It's wonderful. Can't wait to meet you in Junco. That'll be wonderful.
Right, but I have a small town crime series. My protagonist is the police chief of Hercules, Wisconsin, who's a, a defrocked Chicago cop, and he's in a small town because he misbehaved when he was in Chicago. But I'm just finishing up the sixth book in that series. The title is Upstairs. It's a 35 chapter book. I know it's 35 chapters. Usually I don't know how many chapters until I get near the end of the book, but I've just finished chapter 33 and I know I only have two chapters to go.
You know that's all you have in you. Okay. That's all the story will allow you to tell.
Oh, right. Well, no, I've tried to introduce, basically one of the problems with small town murder mystery stories is that I grew up in a small town. Nobody got murdered until the whole time I was there. Small towns don't have murders, so I try to do mysteries or crime stories in a small town that don't necessarily have murders. Um, and in this story, I infuse a horror element. There's an abandoned building on the edge of town that where the staircase is inaccessible because something happens to people when they enter the foyer of the building, and they suddenly are stricken by the greatest fear of their lives. And somehow police chief Jim Otis gets involved in this, and he experiences that. And then we have to figure out what's wrong with the building, why it's so scary, and who put the curse on the building. Was it Indians or somebody else?
Wow, David, you never stop writing, do you? And I don't think you ever will.
No. Old writers don't retire. They just lose their minds.
They just lose it. Well, I hope I hope that doesn't happen, David. So this was so much fun. Lastly, David, where can our listeners find your books and read your essays and follow your latest work?
Well, that's easy. My website is, as I said before, www.lastkidbooks.com. And there are thumbnails of all my books there, and a list of all the awards I've gotten from you and from New York and NYC Big Book Awards. And also, you can access all of my weekly screeds. There's an archive of my weekly screeds that goes back years.
And also your book talks, you give numerous book talks. Folks can listen to those as well, which are really interesting. And you
Yeah,
also
yeah.
do some
I have to do
excerpts
better with
from
that.
your books. Yeah. Yeah, it's really fun. Well, David, this was
Yeah.
so great. Thanks for chatting with us today. Looking forward to seeing you again at book camp and meeting your lovely wife. That'll be wonderful.
Yeah, she's coming. Yes.
Looking forward to that. So, David, thanks so much again. We can't wait to see your next work. Folks, join us at next podcast when we chat with Ivana Olafson, author of The Soul of War, Ukraine, where every step tells their story. This is your hostess, Gabby Olzak of the Gab Talks. Until next time, keep on reading. Thanks, David.